Today we are making vegan gyros two ways. The first is with our buddy tofu, and the second will be with some plant-based meat. Now while these are based after the Greek American ones I used to eat by the handful, I don't have a vertical spit, and I'm guessing you don't either, so these recipes are designed for the average home cook. For both of them, we're going to need to whip up a seasoning blend. I'm making a double batch here, but for a single batch, you're going to need 1 teaspoon of chopped fresh rosemary, 2 teaspoons of oregano, a heaping teaspoon of cumin, an 1/8 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 teaspoon ground coriander, a teaspoon of marjoram, which is optional but nice, a teaspoon of smoked paprika, and then salt and pepper to taste. And this will be enough for 1 pound of plant-based meat or a 1 pound block of tofu. Speaking of tofu, I recommend getting the super firm variety that's vacuum sealed. Extra firm is fine too, but you're probably going to want to press it for at least 30 minutes, but we're going to do pretty much the same process we did for the tofu cheesesteak a while back. So we're going to thinly slice our tofu, do it as thin as you can, but not too thin. About this thickness is good. And once your tofu is all sliced up, we need to whip up a meaty marinade. And I'm using the usual candidates, but I wanted to make a quick note that if you can't find these kinds of products, you can use whatever you have at your disposal. Use more soy sauce or steak sauce or nutritional yeast if that's all you can find. The idea is to just get this marinade as savory and meaty as possible, and for this one, I'm going to start with 1 teaspoon of the beefless bouillon, but you can use veggie if you want, and then 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 teaspoon of Marmite or Vegemite, a half teaspoon of liquid smoke, 1 teaspoon of Gravy Master or Kitchen Bouquet, 2 tablespoons nutritional yeast, a half teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, and then 1 teaspoon smoked paprika, 2 tablespoons of a neutral oil, and then 3 tablespoons of water. And then our seasoning blend that we made before and whisk that up. And then next, with clean hands, toss your tofu slices into the marinade and coat them as thoroughly as possible. And don't worry if the slices get broken up. In fact, that is a good thing. Next, let's get a baking sheet, line it with parchment paper, spritz it with some cooking spray, and then spread out your tofu slices in a single layer so they aren't on top of each other. Add that to a 350 degrees Fahrenheit oven for about 30 minutes. If you're using extra firm tofu, you might need to go a little bit longer, but it'll be done once the tofu feels kind of dry and chewy, not quite like beef jerky, but like halfway there. And now we need to rehydrate it in 1 cup of water. And if you're wondering why are we adding a bunch of liquid back, it's because the oven concentrated that flavor and gave us some nice chewy texture. And then rehydrating is just going to get the tofu juicier while retaining that chewiness, and it's going to also further enhance the flavor. But once the water has been reduced down about 10 minutes or so, taste and adjust for final seasoning, add in more of whatever you like, and now your tofu gyro meat is done. Alright, for the plant-based meat, I'm using Impossible, but use whatever vegan ground beef mince you can. We're going to need a food processor for this, and we're going to first mince up 2 shallots and 4 cloves of garlic. And then we're going to add that to our meat along with the spice blend, 2 tablespoons of breadcrumbs, and 1 tablespoon of oil. Then mix that up with clean hands. Now during my test, I found that I had to process this meat in 2 batches. I'm not sure if it's because my food processor is too small or if it's this plant-based meat, but either way, mix this up in 1 or 2 batches as you see fit. Now we want to process this until it's almost like a meat paste, something like that, which I know is not the most appetizing thing, but don't worry, when we cook this up, the final product will make up for it. So after your meat has been ground up to a paste, let's get a loaf pan and line it with parchment paper and some cooking spray. And now we just want to stuff our meat in there and press it down almost like a thin meatloaf essentially. Next, add that to a 350 degree Fahrenheit oven for 30 minutes, and then we're going to pull that out and it should look something like that. We're going to let it rest to cool and then wrap it in something like foil and refrigerate overnight so it's going to firm up. And you probably could just slice it up right then and there, but it's going to be softer and a bit harder to carve up. But this is what it looks like after chilling overnight, and I'm just going to be slicing it about a 1/4 inch thick. You could go thinner, but they might fall apart. I'm also going to cut the whole thing in half to make the pieces smaller and more manageable. Next is a tip I saw from Chef John. We're going to fry them in some olive oil to brown and crisp up the outside, which will give us some more intense flavor and a firmer texture. And I gotta say, this is a smart move, and I highly suggest it, as adding this step definitely makes you the greatest American hero of your Greek American gyro. But once your meat is all nice and browned up, your gyro meat is ready to eat. And for the toppings, I went with some tomatoes, marinated red onions, some vegan tzatziki, and some crinkle cut fries. For the tomatoes, just slice them up and salt them right before serving. The red onions you can do raw, but I prefer adding some additional zippiness. So all I did was thinly slice up about half an onion and then add in 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 2 tablespoons each of fresh dill and parsley, and about 1 teaspoon of olive oil and some salt and pepper. And that's it, just mix it up and you have elevated some simple onions into something I couldn't stop snacking on. They are seriously so dang good. For the tzatziki, I have a recipe on my blog for this. I made 2 versions, one with a cashew base and the other with store-bought vegan yogurt. They are both great, but the cashew-based one is much thicker, so I opted for that. You can also make a white sauce like the now defunct Gyro No. 2 in New York. I saw this from George Motes and had to try it, and all I did was use 1 cup of vegan mayo, a 1/4 cup vinegar, 2 tablespoons sugar, and 2 tablespoons fresh dill. And this stuff is also super good, but it's also very sweet. So you might want to use half the sugar like George did, but if you want something quick, easy, and tasty, this is a good move for sure. For the pita, I just got this from the store. It's pretty good for store-bought, but make your own if you wanna. A flour tortilla will also work in a pinch, but we're just gonna heat it up however you like and then load it up with some tzatziki, our vegan gyro meat, more tzatziki, tomatoes, the red onions, and some fries if you like. Optional but recommended is to wrap it up if you can, and now it's time to dig in. And I gotta say, it's been a few years since I've had one of these, but this instantly brought back all those gyro memories. All the flavors just blend perfectly together. You got the savory beefy tofu, the freshness of the tomatoes, the acidity of the onions, the salty potatoy goodness of the fries, all rounded out by that refreshing and tangy tzatziki. Honestly, one of the best sandwiches in the world, and it's awesome that we can have it vegan too. And the Impossible one was great as well. I decided to make this in the style of Gyro No. 2, or at least the best I could given the fact that I've never been there. Naturally, the meat tasted more like Impossible. Texture-wise, it was much softer. It had less of a chew than the tofu. I like them both equally, I think, but I might choose the tofu if I had to. Either one will be a good move though. And as you can see, the white sauce is way thinner and looser than the tzatziki. But all in all, this was a fantastic breakfast. Yes, I ate this for breakfast. That's how good these gyros are. I can't stop eating them. And if you want to use something like soy curls or mushrooms, you totally could. In fact, I use soy curls in my Halal Guys recipe. I got a video for that right here. Check that out. And if you make this, let me know how it goes. And until then, I'll see you all next time.